From day one, we have completely exposed Pima County Sheriff Christopher Nanos for his utterly disastrous handling of the Nancy Guthrie missing person case. Things took a very dark turn tonight after discovering a Pima County deputy is currently sitting behind bars. They slapped him with serious allegations involving abduction and abusing his official power. Alex Medina brings us the latest updates directly outside the Pima County Sheriff's headquarters for Tucson News. Just 7 days ago, this sworn protector walked these very halls, but today, he is completely caught up in the criminal justice system himself. Law enforcement officers absolutely never catch random abduction charges over simple misunderstandings, especially not someone employed by the exact same agency spearheading the massive search for a missing 84-year-old lady. Never amidst an ongoing federal abduction probe, and definitely not in a community facing relentless media scrutiny since February 1st, fast forward to March 26th, 2026. When Tucson officers slapped cuffs on 22-year-old Pima County Deputy Travis Reynolds, facing severe abduction allegations, he faced the magistrate the next day with bail locked at $200,000. The second his court session concluded, the Pima County Sheriff's Office had already stripped him of his badge. The exact agency managing the massive Nancy Guthrie manhunt literally just watched their own officer take the fall for abduction. Let that sink in deeply, as this massive bust exposes way more than just a single corrupt cop going off the rails. It completely exposes the deeply rooted systemic rot infecting the exact agency Nancy's loved ones desperately trusted to bring her back safely. You really have to look at the massive internal failures, staff rebellions, and totally botched forensic evidence at the crime lab, add in those messy media briefings, and jailing Travis Reynolds suddenly feels far less like a freak occurrence. It screams systemic failure. So we are breaking down exactly what these massive red flags reveal and where they fall short. When dealing with such heavy stakes, separating fact from fiction is absolutely crucial to finding the truth. Accuracy is absolutely critical here. So let us clearly examine sworn Pima County Officer Travis Reynolds. This entire force answers directly to Sheriff Chris Nanos. They are the exact same crew managing the Nancy Guthrie manhunt from the very second her family initially raised the alarm. Pima County leadership never investigated or locked up their corrupt guy. Because Tucson officers actually handled the entire bust, an entirely different police force had to intervene, and that specific fact speaks volumes. This immediately proves their internal oversight completely failed to catch the issue. So let us dive right into these shocking court allegations. Deputy Reynolds was working his standard shift, driving a detained woman over to the Pima County lockup. Prosecutors and records examined by KDTV alongside various national media networks confirm this is the absolute most basic task expected of local law enforcement, yet the horrifying events that supposedly unfolded inside his cruiser during that simple drive have slapped him with severe abduction charges. While the victim remained helpless and bound in the back seat, the deputy reportedly made highly inappropriate comments about her physical appearance. Following a supposedly shared hit from a vaporizer, he offered to sabotage her pending case by skipping his court testimony if she agreed to visit a motel room with him for physical intimacy, fearing for her safety. The frightened passenger begged him to just bring her into the processing facility. Instead of complying, he reportedly kept her trapped in the cruiser as she watched fellow cops escorting different suspects through the front doors. Since this was her very first run-in with the law, she possessed absolutely zero knowledge regarding typical intake protocols. The poor woman possessed no idea that this terrifying detour completely violated standard operating procedures. Official filings describe how confused she felt regarding the massive delay, especially while observing numerous squads actively dropping off their own prisoners while she stayed isolated in the dark car. The officer supposedly played highly inappropriate adult clips for her, and when she pleaded again to go inside, he demanded she expose herself, which she did out of pure fear. Only after this awful exchange did he finally pull her out of the vehicle and walk her up to the actual booking desk. Security cameras mounted outside the Pima County lockup actually backed up crucial details from her terrifying story. And during his subsequent interrogation, the disgraced deputy vaguely admitted that he potentially could have brought up intimate relations and displayed those adult movies. He genuinely said he might or might not have done it. Just think about that. Answer coming from a sworn 22-year-old cop speaking about his on-the-clock behavior while fully dressed in uniform and trapping a restrained civilian who had zero escape options. Officials at the Pima County Sheriff Agency swiftly announced that they fired him. Once the Tucson Police Division formally alerted his commanding officers regarding his unexpected capture, the department officially let the man go. This former deputy is currently held on a $200,000 bond, and authorities have not officially named him as a suspect in the Nancy Guthrie mystery. Investigators currently lack any concrete proof tying him to her disappearance. So we plan to stick strictly to the proven facts today. Make no mistake. We will explicitly detail exactly how taking this individual into custody shifts the entire case. We absolutely cannot ignore this link, as its true significance runs far deeper than what mainstream media dares to admit. Listen closely. We must balance a pair of distinct truths right now without letting them blur into a single narrative. Nobody has tied Travis Reynolds to the vanishing of Nancy Guthrie. That remains our absolute foundation, and we are staying grounded there. However, claiming he directly kidnapped her is vastly different from saying his recent apprehension impacts the ongoing Guthrie case. These concepts remain worlds apart from each other. Moreover, the latter stands as fact even if the former never materializes, especially since Pima County law enforcement serves as a central pillar here. They are heading the charge, with Sheriff Chris Nanos acting as the primary spokesperson since the very beginning. His team managed every local search effort while collaborating closely with federal agents, overseeing evidence collection, camera footage, demands, incoming calls, and media briefings. So when their own officer gets busted for supposedly weaponizing his shield, abusing his authority, and leveraging his dominance over a restrained female victim to force compliance, you simply cannot pretend this scandal happened in a vacuum completely isolated from their massive ongoing manhunt. Everything unfolded within the exact same agency, a system that was crumbling long before anyone slapped cuffs on Reynolds. Grasping the true impact of this scandal requires looking at the chaos unfolding within Pima County ranks prior to March 26th. We are looking at a precinct struggling to maintain basic functionality. Citizens and critics alike openly doubted their slow progress and criticized their severely lacking public updates, alongside glaring contradictions between the sheriff's official statements and facts leaking from alternative channels. Internet sleuths eventually mobilized to demand the immediate removal of Nanos from his elected seat. Launching an ouster effort against a top cop during a massive national case signifies far more than mild annoyance. It reveals completely shattered public faith. Journalists also pointed out multiple instances where the commander's claims clashed heavily with outside evidence. Back in February, the boss confidently declared his detectives had 0 fresh suspects. Meanwhile, neighborhood shop owners revealed federal operatives were actively flashing suspect pictures and asking about unknown individuals. These two conflicting narratives simply cannot coexist as the truth within the same precinct walls. His personal staff actually cast an undivided vote of no confidence and demanded his immediate resignation. Let that sink in. Total agreement among every single participating officer, openly broadcasting their complete distrust in the commander, spearheading operations right during one of America's most famous unresolved disappearance hunts. Such was the catastrophic state of affairs at the Pima County station before Travis Reynolds even faced charges. Now throw the shocking Reynolds apprehension onto that growing fire. An officer from this exact unit supposedly abused his badge to trap and intimidate a female suspect who was actually apprehended by a completely separate task force. Pay close attention to this specific element regarding the Reynolds scandal, because the crucial takeaway is not the flashy headline. Instead, focus entirely on the survivor's explanation regarding her failure to fight back earlier. Having never faced custody previously, she remained completely ignorant regarding normal police protocols. Watching fellow cops escort different suspects indoors while she stayed locked inside the cruiser just made her think she misunderstood how bookings worked. Believing the holdup was routine, an entirely standard practice created the exact blind spot that Reynolds supposedly weaponized against her. Moving beyond mere bodily dominance or steel wrist restraints, he heavily leveraged her utter ignorance regarding basic legal rights, capitalizing on her failure to spot the severe danger purely because appropriate police conduct was a completely unfamiliar concept to her inexperienced mind. State attorneys officially labeled this courtroom phenomenon using 2 specific words: power dynamic. That exact terminology resonates far beyond this isolated trial, considering Nancy Guthrie faced an identical state of total helplessness against her eventual captor. At 84, she had restricted movement, daily pills, and a heart implant. An implant which severed its digital link at 2:28 during the early hours of February 1st. marking the undeniable instant of her abduction. Snatched away in sleepwear while missing footwear and vital prescriptions, she fell prey to a predator who deeply analyzed her weaknesses, strategized accordingly, and approached her entrance entirely equipped, wearing a facial disguise, sporting gloves, holding weapons alongside a 25-liter rucksack. Fully recognizing the security lens and actively trying to dismantle it, Reynolds stands charged with weaponizing an innocent female's weakness inside a cruiser. Conversely, the monster who snatched Nancy capitalized on an 84-year-old target's frailty right indoors, distinct offenses of completely different scopes, yet sharing one identical foundational tactic: spotting a person's absolute deepest weakness and heavily weaponizing it against them. Naturally, when headlines regarding Reynolds dropped, internet platforms completely exploded without hesitation. Message boards everywhere instantly bridged this bust directly to the ongoing Guthrie hunt. Completely ignoring the sheer lack of any tangible forensic proof, the internet is exploding with theories, with one user noting, "This scandal might completely derail the search for Nancy Guthrie." Someone else pointed out the severe corruption spreading throughout the Pima precinct. The Federal Bureau needs to step in immediately. A third person questioned how anyone could rely on a police force to solve this mystery when their own officer faces abduction charges. Internet chatter hardly qualifies as hard proof. We definitely aren't using it in court. Yet these reactions offer crucial insight into the massive lack of faith the community has in the lead. Investigators, clearly, that faith is virtually non-existent right now. People didn't lose confidence just because Reynolds got cuffed. The damage was already done. It slowly vanished over several weeks due to conflicting reports, and that glaring lack of confidence vote. The recall efforts, and roughly 2 full months without identifying a culprit, ruined their reputation long before this recent arrest even occurred. Nancy's relatives issued an official message to the press on March 21st, 5 days prior to that deputy getting detained. They pleaded for everyone to stay alert, reminding folks that every tiny clue matters. They begged citizens to dig deep into their minds for any unusual events around those crucial timelines that might actually mean something now. This shows relatives who refuse to quit, clinging to the hope that a stranger out there has the exact puzzle piece to solve this nightmare. Right now is the exact point in these tragic mysteries where police drama threatens to overshadow the actual victim's agonizing reality. We absolutely refuse to let her fade into the background. Beneath this entire circus of corrupt cops, political backlash, ignored bounties, extortion letters, and sluggish lab results lies the real tragedy. An 84-year-old grandmother was snatched away in her sleepwear, leaving behind both her footwear and crucial prescriptions. Drops of her blood stained the front steps of her longtime residence. While intruders left the rear entrance wide open, her heart monitor stopped transmitting at 2:28 a.m., prompting Savannah Guthrie to abandon her coverage of the 2026 Winter Games to hunt for her mom. Sitting opposite Hoda Kotb on national television, she discussed clinging to hope despite facing unbearable sorrow. She expressed deep remorse over the terrifying thought that her celebrity status caused this attack. While confirming she genuinely believes those extortion letters are authentic, the anchor is officially slated to resume her morning television duties on April 6th. She has to go back to work with zero solutions and her beloved parent still missing. There are no suspects behind bars and absolutely no peace of mind. But she pushes forward simply because the world keeps turning. Yet she steps back into an ongoing manhunt that feels entirely stagnant after roughly 2 months of failing to name a single prime suspect. Let us break down the exact status of this manhunt right now, keeping everything straightforward and completely fact-based. Nancy vanished on February 1st, 2026. Her son-in-law safely returned her to her Catalina Foothills residence around 9:45 p.m. on January 31st, and authorities fully exonerated him. Every single relative has been officially ruled out as a suspect. Sheriff Nanos openly confirmed that the family members are incredibly helpful victims who have done absolutely nothing wrong here. Forensic analysis proved that the red splatters near the front door belonged to the missing woman. Security video unveiled on February 10th by FBI Director Kash Patel revealed an armed, masked intruder loitering on her porch early February. First, fully aware he was being filmed, the suspect actively attempted to disable the recording device. The culprit wore a 25-liter Ozark trail bag unique to Walmart, prompting detectives to scour the retailer's security tapes. Store management provided investigators with months of transaction histories to track the purchase. Detectives scoured her community, digging through neighborhood security tapes dating back to January 1st, while paying special attention to January 11th and 24th. Authorities suspect someone was scouting her house on those specific days, especially since exterior lenses caught strangers trespassing prior to the kidnapping. Genetic material collected from the crime scene failed to trigger any hits in the federal registry. With more swabs awaiting lab results, the team shifted to ancestral tracing, mirroring the exact method that caught the Golden State Killer. Meanwhile, several blackmail demands arrived at local news stations and directly at the victim's household. Experts quickly dismissed a few of those letters as cruel hoaxes. During her chat with Hoda Kotb, the famous anchor confessed she feels the two demands sent straight to her relatives are entirely legitimate. By mid-March, Sheriff Nanos announced that his team finally figured out why the kidnappers specifically singled out this elderly woman. He refused to share the exact reason with the press, instead dropping a chilling warning that terrified the public. Do not assume you are protected just because this happened to a high-profile family. Those certainly aren't the words of a police chief who is anywhere close to wrapping up a case. It sounds like a severe warning from someone who genuinely fears how dangerous this situation might actually be. $1 million sits untouched on the table, offered by Guthrie's desperate relatives. $12,500 in extra bounty cash from authorities remains utterly ignored, yielding 0 suspects, 0 charges, and absolutely no answers. The cuffs haven't clicked on anybody yet. How exactly does putting Reynolds behind bars impact the ongoing manhunt? Let me give it to you straight. Absolutely nothing links this rogue cop to the missing woman's disappearance, though locking him up throws massive structural baggage onto an already buckling police force. Putting out fires inside a precinct devours every ounce of their energy, draining them legally, publicly, and functionally right now. The Pima County Sheriff's Squad is juggling a colossal federal manhunt for a vanished citizen surviving the brutal aftermath of a unanimous vote of no confidence from their peers, fighting off a fierce campaign to oust their boss. While simultaneously firing and prosecuting their own officer for abducting someone, having federal agents stepping in isn't merely helpful anymore. It has become a foundational necessity for survival. Federal investigators possess the limitless budget, the nationwide authority, the cutting-edge labs, plus the crucial detachment from local precinct drama needed to hunt down leads with relentless, unwavering precision. The hunt pushes forward. Experts are actively tearing through complex DNA family trees. Detectives keep scrubbing through winter security tapes while new clues constantly roll in, buried deep inside those video frames, hidden within the genetic markers. Psychological profiles, or the silent minds of hesitant witnesses. The ultimate truth is waiting to be found. Dial 1-800-CALL-FBI to reach the feds immediately. If you hold a single puzzle piece about that dark winter morning on the 1st of February, 2026, or noticed any creeps watching the victim's street earlier that month, or spotted someone acting sketchy around her usual hangouts leading up to her vanishing act, pick up the phone. Do not wait until morning. Do it right this second. That disgraced deputy stepped before a judge in late March to answer for allegedly holding someone captive inside his working cruiser. The justice system is gearing up to make him pay for his suspected crimes. However, the single most crucial mystery haunting this desert city today, the nightmare that has paralyzed the entire nation for almost 8 weeks, hasn't seen the inside of a courtroom. The missing woman remains lost to the wind. This tangled web is rapidly shrinking. Every fresh detail we unearth completely shatters whatever narrative we believed yesterday. Do not go anywhere. Amy Reynolds is up next. Perfect. Mr. Reynolds, we are commencing your preliminary hearing. You stand before me today accused of criminal abduction. This constitutes a severe felony violation. You possess the constitutional right to keep quiet. Whatever words you speak will become weapons against your defense. You are entitled to legal representation, and I am assigning counsel right now. Wait, are we using the state attorneys? Or... Okay, got it. Well, the designated legal defense board hasn't sent over the necessary paperwork yet. I will assign the public defense team to handle things temporarily. It appears you already have a lawyer sitting beside you for this session. Our goal right now is establishing the exact terms of your potential bail. The initial grievance report has been thoroughly examined on my end. I also looked over the preliminary background check to verify if you possess a criminal track record. Is that static coming from the holding facility? Or did somebody forget to silence their microphone? Understood. Furthermore, those documents detail your local routes, your job history, and the professional evaluations they suggested regarding your character. Lastly, I checked the prosecution's suggested penalty. They are pushing for $50,000. Does the prosecution wish to elaborate? Yes? Judge. We demand $50,000 alongside strict monitoring. If you grant him freedom, the nature of this specific accusation raises massive red flags for us, especially considering the suspect's badge and the massive authority imbalance he held over his target. Multiple signs suggest this was hardly an isolated incident. Naturally, the survivor is desperately requesting zero leniency here, insisting he stay far away from the precinct and the crime scene. We demand a total weapons ban and a strict restraining order. She is absolutely terrified, paralyzed by fear of this man because he used his sworn authority to trap her, exploiting his badge. Making her terrified, he will strike back for speaking out. Therefore, we firmly stand by our heavy financial bail and strict supervision demands. As stated in the paperwork, we require zero communication with the survivor. I appreciate it. Your turn, defense attorney. Appreciate the floor. Judge. We request he be placed under standard monitoring upon release. My client has lived in Arizona his entire life. The man maintains a permanent residence and holds down a steady job. Even the complaining witness confirmed these living arrangements and shockingly seems open to acting as his official legal guardian if released. Look, we can safely assume this complaining witness completely supports letting my client walk today. Actually, there seems to be some serious confusion here. Since that person isn't the victim, my absolute mistake on that front. Judge, so please accept my apologies for the error. However, I need to bring up several crucial points right now. My client holds a spotless record with strictly zero past felonies or misdemeanors. He has never missed court before. His risk assessments show a level 2 for new crimes, plus a level 1 for skipping hearings. Given these outstanding factors, the defense formally requests his immediate transfer out of jail and directly into supervised monitoring. Request noted. Counselor, Mr. Reynolds, I am setting your bail at $200,000, which must be posted in cash or collateral. Should someone pay this amount, probation officers will take over your supervision. You must complete any counseling or check-ins they mandate. Stay completely away from booze, illicit narcotics, firearms, and dangerous blades. Any guns currently in your possession must go directly to the police department. Stay far away from the complaining witness and never visit the crime scene. Your next appearance is booked for April 6th at exactly 1:30 in the afternoon. Keep in mind, this specific calendar appointment could shift. You must maintain constant communication with your defense lawyer regarding upcoming schedule changes, because missing a single scheduled session guarantees I will sign an immediate bench warrant. Are these terms completely understood, Mr. Reynolds? Excellent. This hearing is officially concluded. This story is not just about crime, it's about trust, power, and the consequences. When both are broken, we are taught from a young age to trust authority, to believe that those in uniform are there to protect us. But this case reminds us of a difficult truth. Power, when placed in the wrong hands, can become a weapon. The danger is not always in force, but in control. Control over information, over fear, over someone who doesn't know their rights. The victim in this case didn't resist, not because she agreed, but because she didn't understand. And that is a lesson for all of us. Knowledge is protection, understanding your rights, your boundaries, and what is normal versus what is not can be the difference between safety and silence. At the same time, we cannot allow corruption or failure within systems to make us lose faith completely. Instead, it should push us to demand better, more transparency, more accountability, and stronger protections for the vulnerable. Most importantly, this reminds us to never ignore the human side of these stories. Behind every headline is a real person, a real fear, and a real family waiting for answers. Because justice doesn't begin in court, it begins with awareness, courage, and the willingness to speak up